how can you use AI agents to optimize your SEO workflow? Let's find out on this week's episode with Tom Winter from SEO Wind.
AI agents will be the word of 2025. Everybody will talk about it, and they are already talking about it. So definitely worth to know more. When you're thinking about AI agents, you're thinking about open-ended questions which you don't know how to resolve. And the AI agent has access to multiple tools, and it can grab these tools and execute using these tools to resolve your specific problem. People love to automate. Like right now, there is like a whole tendency of going to AI and resolving problems without knowing how to resolve a problem, because they feel that they will ask AI and the answer will basically resolve their problem. We will be able to talk to a computer in a natural way that we used to talk to other people for the last 50,000 years.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Search with Candour. I am your host, as always, Jack Chambers-Ward, and this is the podcast where I interview the best and brightest minds across the SEO industry every single week here on YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe, give us a 5-star review, leave some comments, all that good stuff that helps spread the word and share Search with Candour around the internet. I would hugely appreciate it. This week I am joined by the one and only Tom Winter from SEO Wind, and we're talking all about Tom's use of AI agents and how they can help to basically automate things and optimize your workflow when it comes to SEO. AI agents is a bit of a buzzword at the moment. I know a lot of us are talking about how to use them. I think a lot of people are mis-selling them, by the way, which Tom gets into as well. And I think Tom has a really unique, interesting programmer's eye for this kind of stuff that really breaks down a lot of the technical bits and pieces. And we get into what AI agents are doing now, how you can use them, practical tips and things like that, and the future of what Tom thinks this kind of technology will be doing in the next few years as well. So without any further ado, here is my conversation with Tom Winter, all about AI agents for SEO. Did you know that Google personalizes many searches by city? And Also Asked is the only tool to access live People Also Ask data at city level. Try for free at alsoasked.com. My guest this week is an entrepreneur, self-taught programmer, AI enthusiast, and digital marketing expert with over 10 years of experience in both SEO and SaaS. He's been featured in Brighton SEO. I've seen him passing by in Brighton SEO. I've seen him featured in SEO in 2025. He is the Chief Growth Officer and co-founder at SEO Wind, and perhaps most importantly, the third person in the triangle of me, Kyle Rushton McGregor. Welcome to the show, Tom Winter.
Thanks a lot, Jack. It's really amazing to be here and looking forward to a great talk.
Definitely. I know we were just saying before we started, I think we've literally walked past each other in Brighton a couple of times. We've never actually had a proper conversation. So I'm looking forward to finally sitting down and actually discussing something I don't have much experience with, but I know you have a lot of experience with, which is AI agents and using them for SEO. And I think this is something a lot of people are kind of looking into, right? I think this is a hot topic at the moment. A lot of people are talking, of course, about LLMs and AI and all that kind of stuff. But I guess the AI agent side of thing feels to me like it's a phrase a lot of people might know, but might not actually be aware of its uses and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what we're going to dig into, right? Is the use of AI agents and how you can use them in your workflows and all that kind of stuff, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people misunderstand what AI agents are. Definitely, as you mentioned, AI agents will be the word of 2025. Everybody will talk about it, and they are already talking about it. So definitely worth to know more.
Yeah, now's the right time for this conversation, right?
Exactly.
Perfect timing. So I guess we'll start off with that initial question of what is an AI agent? Like I said, some people might have heard the phrase, but don't actually know or might have a misunderstanding of what it actually means. So what actually is an SI? What is an AI agent?
So basically, if you go to LinkedIn, you will see AI agent this, AI agent that. I've built my own AI agent. There is a make spreadsheet that you can look at, what exactly the process of my AI agent. To tell you a little bit about it, they are not AI agents, because you have to distinguish four things how you can use LLMs. LLMs in the beginning, 2 years ago, all started with ChatGPT. We could see we could chat with AI. This is the basic form of using an LLM. Then there were GPTs. GPTs are of course the name that OpenAI uses, but like you have kind of GPTs in different models. So basically something that is more specialized in a specific task. You upload instructions, you upload additional documents that it can read. So it actually creates a retrieval augmented generation vector database that it retrieves specific data. But they're very simple tasks that are done using a GPT, which means like a specialized LLM. Then you have workflow. So this is exactly what make.com is. So if you have a workflow that normally you as a human do in the process. So let's go with content creation. Like you first go to Google, then you go to competition, then you retrieve some keywords, then you go for data, then you go for additional things. This is a workflow, linear workflow. Of course, there might be some ifs. So like where it branches out. So if you see this, then go there. If you see that, then go there. But it's still a predefined workflow. And then there are AI agents. So basically, when you're thinking about AI agents, you're thinking about open-ended questions which you don't know how to resolve. And the AI agent has access to multiple tools, and it can grab these tools and execute using these tools to resolve your specific problem. When you're looking at all four of these, it's not that one of them is better than the other ones. They're just used for different solutions. Like if you want to go for predictability, probably you will go with a workflow because like you know the process, you have like limitations. It will not go off like at some point like in a unknown direction. If you don't know how to solve a problem, a specific problem, and you don't care about predictability so much, you can go with an AI agent. Or you can go with a hybrid approach where somewhere in your workflow, there is an agent that makes specific decisions and decides like what to do next in the process. So this is like basic information, what I feel AI agent is.
Yeah, definitely. I think you said right at the beginning there, like, I think a lot of people confuse the custom GPT stuff with AI agents, right? I think like, oh, well, it's an AI thing that does a specific task, therefore it's an AI agent. But
like to give you an example, somebody told me that they're doing agents using u.com. U.com is something like Perplexity, similar to Perplexity. And I said like, okay, show me. Like, and then in u.com, there is something called AI agents, and it's basically a GPT. The confusion is just on the market. Like you don't like, because some of these products, everybody wants to say like, we're doing AI agents. AI agents this, AI agents that. Like basically we are in the whole trend of AI agents. So as an example, u.com just named the product, which is a GPT, AI agents.
So being sneaky about just trying to get on the buzzword and the trend, right? Like
Exactly.
That's not the first time that's happened in SEO, and it won't be the last time, that's for sure.
No.
But
I love keyword stuffing. Remember, this is like the basic rule of SEO. Like keyword stuff everything.
Exactly. AI agent everywhere. Exactly. But yeah, I think the important thing there, and what I've understood from doing a bit of research and having a look around, watching yourself talk about it and things like that, is that connection between different tools. I think is the key there for me, when you're not kind of, like you said, thinking about a process in a linear way, taking the content creation example you used, being able to pull from different tools and different sources, whether it's your ranking tools, whether that's something like we have here at Also Asked, like that kind of stuff. It can be loads of different sources. And for me, that's where a lot of that time saving and process kind of the workflow optimization, again, to use a buzzword, comes into it, right? That's that element of speeding up the process and automating a lot of things that can just take so much time to manually do. And I think that's where a lot of LLMs and AI come into SEO, is doing a lot of that manual, boring stuff that will save you time for actually using your brain for strategic things, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like AI can help you out with many things, but like also like remember that you have a brain. If you feel that you will be clicking only, there are tools for that.
Chances are there's a tool for most things, definitely. And I know you brought up make.com earlier, and I know a lot of people use Zapier for a similar kind of process, right? Like connecting different systems and stuff like that as well. When it comes to those kind of workflows, what kind of things are you looking at? Is it mostly content creation? Is it a bit of everything? I was talking to Amina from Vixen Digital the other day, and we were talking about, I know she did a talk at Women in Tech Fest, the WTS Fest, about using AI agents in QA processes as well. So I think, like you said, the obvious example for a lot of people is content creation, because that's where we lean so much in, the content-led world of SEO. Are you experimenting with different sides, different things? Are there limits to what we can use an AI agent for? Is it kind of anything and everything?
Like, I do think about it. Like, so basically, if you as a human, like if you do a certain process and it's like kind of a workflow, it's better to do a workflow, like AI workflow. So to actually use make.com, Zapier, there is also hunch.tools. I think it's like a really good tools, but they're a linear process. What it gives you predictability. So for example, if you're doing an SEO audit, in my opinion, there's like a fixed list of things that you have to look at. And if you want to look at them all, unfortunately, you have to do a workflow. So like you can't forget about any single one of them. So you as a human, if you're doing an audit, you have like this list in front of you because there's probably 50 things that you have to look at, and you're going one by one. If you would be, as a human, an AI agent, like it doesn't mean that you take out this list, like, and all of a sudden you're using only your brain to memorize exactly the same things. So you still probably look at like the things to do. So like you wouldn't use an AI agent for that. Like in my opinion, like when I try to use an AI agent for auditing the page, it doesn't work out because there's too much creativity in the process. And I don't want creativity. I want to know exactly what it looked at. So I don't want to have a black box that like it gives me an answer saying like, look, this is my opinion. And I'm asking like, based on what? I don't know, like just spit it out. So basically, AI agent is everything that you don't have a process to like resolve. Like when you don't know how to resolve a specific task and you can't define a workflow, like you would put in an AI agent. If you have a process as a human, if you continue with a specific process, like don't use them because you want to have predictability. You want to know that it went through exactly the process that you designed, that you as a human, I call it human as a service, you went through this process and you know how it works. It's proven to work. So why would you go to creativity when you have something that works?
Yeah, definitely. I love the human as a service. It's quite a dystopian kind of phrase, right? Makes it sound like we're in the Matrix or something. We're just
But like, look, because people love to automate. Like right now, there is like a whole tendency of like going to AI and resolving problems without knowing how to resolve a problem. Because they feel that they will ask AI and the answer like will basically resolve their problem. And I'm telling people like before you go into that, like always do it yourself. Like basically go through the whole process. You can use AI in the process, but basically go through the process and see if it works. If you don't do it as a human, what do you want to automate? You don't know like what it's going to do. Like you don't know the basics. So try it out, check if you can go through the process, and then scale it. It's just like the same when you have a process for sales, you scale it by giving the process to the next person that will exactly start with your process that already is proven to work. So this is how I treat like human as a service before software as a service, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think having a lot, we always talk about that kind of, the process where they always have a human at the end of that process to kind of verify everything. But you're absolutely right. You need to know what the process is in the first place in order to catch errors or hallucinations or that creativity you mentioned, right? Like if an LLM goes off and does something and you don't know right or wrong, then how are you going to catch out errors and stuff, right? I love the thought process of kind of planning out, like you said, taking an ordinate and breaking it down step by step. And again, I think that's a lot of people kind of fall into that trap of just, I'll just use a tool, I'll use Screaming Frog or Sightbulb or whatever, and not actually think about the results or the process and just kind of export, send to client, which I think a lot of agencies are guilty of. But
But
there's
like, if
definitely
it
that
works, it
process,
works.
right?
Like if you already
Yeah.
checked it like that, they're using Screaming Frog or SEMrush or like anything for auditing and it works, like go for it. Like, but you know, at least you tested it out.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's that element where it comes to the human side of things. Like I remember talking a while ago about the process of auditing when it comes to actually go and look on the page. Don't just run the tool and leave it at that. Actually be a user and click around, treat yourself like a customer, actually use the site and see how it loads, scroll, click, do all the interactions, go through the checkout process, all this kind of stuff. And it amazes me how many people, like you said, kind of just, yeah, if it works, cool, stick with that. But there is still that human element to it that I think is key to so many of those processes. But as we're saying, AI agents and LLMs in general can help speed up a lot of that manual grunt work at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Like it can help us out, like to do all the tedious, the repetitive tasks that we don't like. So, for example, I've talked with many companies where did they implement AI because they right now on the market there is a trend to build AI councils inside the company to grab people from different places in the company and it's like ask them like, what do you want to automate? And a lot of things like number one that I hear is like reporting. Like we want to automate reporting. Everybody hates that. And it's actually perfect for a workflow that you can do probably in make.com because you always do the same thing over and over again. Like there's no creativity in the report. Like once you set up a report, you go to specific data points, you grab the data, compile it, and done.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Every agency owner, every agency worker I speak to, me and myself included here working at Candour, like reporting has always been that process of like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you got to write the same thing. Clicks are up, impressions are up, revenue's down, whatever it is. It's that same. I even have conversations with clients like, yeah, it's kind of the same thing as last month or the same thing as the previous quarter or whatever, that kind of thing. If you can get into that process. I know there are brilliant tools for pulling all that stuff in, combining Search Console data with GA4 data with your rank tools or whatever it is, and pulling it all together. Then that can give you that bigger picture look at things, right? Like you're not going to be able to look at, I don't know, maybe you have two screens. You literally have Search Console on one and GA4 on the other and kind of cross-reference them. But being able to combine it into one thing, I think, is so useful. Seeing, oh, clicks are up, but sessions are down. What does that mean? What does the relationship between those two things mean? They're not the same, but they're related. How does that work? All that kind of stuff. I love it when you're able to bring in different data sources into a single thing and be able to look at it in a different way than you would just flicking between screens.
And then on top of that, what you can do, like you can add interpretation, right? So like you have the data, and you can interpret that. So all the other words that you said that you have to write.
Exactly. Yeah. Our clicks up, our clicks down, and all that kind of stuff. Like I like what you said earlier about the complex nature. Like you don't necessarily know the answer that's going to come out of it. I think a lot of people rely on LLMs, as you said earlier, for if I kind of want to know the answer. There's a definitive answer. I'll chuck it into ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever it is and get a simple answer. That's more of what we're seeing with AI overviews, with Google's side of things as well. Obviously, like, oh, there is a informational query that has a fairly definitive answer. Here it is. We may as well serve it to you on the SERP rather than you clicking through to content or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, when you have that more complex side of things, when you get into the processing and the less straightforward side of things, that's where it's more interesting to me. I'm not particularly interested in things that have a definitive answer. I kind of want to have that thought process, that brainstorming process, right? And get into that thinking of, oh, there are multiple ways to solve this thing. What's the best approach? What's going to be the cheapest or the quickest?
Mm-hmm.
Are they the same thing? All that kind of stuff, I think, is where a lot of, like you said, kind of oversimplification of a lot of LLM and AI stuff, whereas actually we could be using it in really interesting, complex ways to combine a lot of different sources.
But you do have to remember about one serious problem with LLMs. Like my biggest problem with LLMs is that it always answers, and this is like something that
Yeah.
I really hate. So you don't know based on the what, but like it will answer because this is their goal. Like they are like your partner in discussion. Their goal is to answer. Like so, if they know it or they don't know it, they will answer. And many times it brings up like answers that will create some trouble, I would say, as an agency. I saw that, for example, last week, where somebody showed me a report from an agency that they got, and they were asking me, what do I think about it? And one of the strategies that they had there was to invest in backlinking using Haro, so help a reporter out, for 2025. And I like looked at it and it's like, do you know it's closed? It was closed in 2024. It's like, do they know that?
Oh yeah, I've encountered that as well. Similar kind of things. Like I do another podcast about movies, and often you will use an LLM to kind of like summarize the plot of a film, so I can discuss it on the show or whatever. Instead of me taking notes as I'm watching, I want to kind of just watch it and enjoy it, right? But it always gets into the habit of like summarize the plot of The Godfather in 10 bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the most important 10 bullet points. And at the end, every single time, it will say The Godfather is a critically acclaimed thing, and it's directed by Martin Scorsese, and it's really influential, and all this kind of, it shaped their careers. Like, I didn't ask you any of that stuff. I don't care. Give me the bullet points. Just give me the simple, straightforward bullet points. I know this is actually getting into sort of like the prompting side of things. I know this is something you talked with David in SEO in 2025 about, that people oversimplify their prompts, right? And think you can chuck in something super simple, straightforward, ask a simple answer and get ask a simple question, get a simple answer.
Mm-hmm.
But actually,
Yeah.
when you get more nuanced, you actually get better results from this side of thing, right?
Yes, and also like for example, why I often don't use, like when I'm prompting, I don't use deep search because I get all this additional fluff on top. Like so, uh, the same goes with Perplexity. I normally don't use R1 in Perplexity because I get so much fluff on top. And me as a programmer, if I use it through API, I don't know like how to parse it. Like I have a problem actually to putting it into like a specific box that I can then cluster out and use it in a specific way. So I often don't use reasoning in specific places because like the output can vary really heavily, and I don't know how to parse it. Like basically, there's so many edge cases that I can't handle.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's that. Like you said, the worst, most annoying thing is that it has to answer, and it will give you a fluffy thing that seems convincing. It's almost like it's trying to convince you in a way. And I often feel like, again, not to constantly criticize AI reviews, but we're SEOs, that's what we're going to do. Like that gets into that habit as well, where it ends up referencing 10 things when 3 sources would have been fine, or waffling on for 400 words when 100 words would probably be fine. And I think that's again coming back around to the kind of workflow optimization side of things. That's the opposite of we want in many ways. Humans are very good at waffling. I'm a professional podcaster. That's kind of what I do for a living, right? We are very good at
Oh.
waffling on and giving too much context. And oh no, sorry, your talk time's up. Time to go. Like I've still got 10 slides left. I'm panicking. All that kind of stuff. I don't need robots to waffle for us. We've done plenty of waffling for the humans.
They learned from the best.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, maybe it's our. I'm criticizing the wrong side of things. It's our influence and all of humans' nature to waffle. It's our fault for all the fluff.
Sure.
So I know you mentioned clustering just then. Speaking of content creation and stuff, have you kind of looked into the keyword clustering side of things? I know you've spoken before about using LLMs in that process. When it comes to that content creation side of things, walk me through that process of connecting those different things, use where you would kind of use the AI agent, where you wouldn't use it, and kind of go through that, idea to final product kind of process if you can.
Okay, I'll try to give you, and I will also like input the clustering, but like I'm doing clustering in a little bit different way than like normal LLM users would do. So like when it comes to content creation, like I start, of course, like with a simple thing everybody knows where to go, like keyword, go to Google, check what Google thinks, because like they're always right. Like if I think that the search intent is different, unfortunately I'm wrong and Google is right. I don't want to like change his mind because it's really difficult. So like I'm going to all the pages that are in SERP results on per specific keyword. I'm going to every single one of them, getting their content just to understand exactly what is the search intent, because they did hell of a job to do it. The other thing that I'm doing, and you probably also are like you're doing, I'm taking all of these URLs, going to Ahrefs or SEMrush, and you're taking the keywords just to understand exactly what do they rank for, so you can actually figure out like if you can rank for that. I'm doing that, of course, like through API, just to scrape the keywords. So sometimes it will be 100 keywords, sometimes it will be 300 keywords. You normally would have open up like 10 tabs. I hate open tabs because that means I have to memorize stuff, and I'm not using my brain for like picking the best possible answer, but I'm just using 80% of my capacity in my brain for memorizing what's on which tab. So I don't like it. I hate switching tabs when focusing on the brief. So when I download the keywords, here the first like clustering of keywords, what happens? I use embeddings. Embeddings means that every single keyword that I download, I turn into a vector of about 1,000 dimensions. I don't want to go like into what the dimension is because I don't understand it. Like from my perspective, I understand 3 dimensions, and that's good enough. Like 1,000 of them makes no sense. But what I can do using clustering using vectors, I can put them into groups. So like if I have 300 keywords, instead of having a pile of 300 keywords, I'll have 8 groups of 20 keywords each, let's say. So this way I can understand exactly what they are talking about. I can pick up like the branded keywords, like just move them out of my picture and just to understand exactly what to do with them. And at the same level, if I have the content of my competition, I can switch them into a vector database. So basically retrieval with generation to pull the things that are most interesting to see like what is the most common thing that is the search intent and use vectors also there. But based on that, I'm able to create both the brief that nails the search intent using AI by providing AI, again, the context. So like I know exactly what works because I know what our competition did. I'm going to AI saying like, look, AI, help me out to create an outline. But here's the context. Like, so this is what our competition does. These are important information that you have to look at. Please help me out. So like that, I can create that. But this starts with basically creating a brief based on context. Whenever you're going to AI about anything, about title, give him context of your competition. So like copy the titles of your competition, just like what works. Description, the same goes with that. Like just always give specific information to AI. Okay, but when I have the outline, what I can do with that, I can grab more information. I know exactly the information from the search intent, so like what our competition did. So when I start writing the article, first thing is here goes my first agent, that is a research AI agent. Based on the brief that I've created, it thinks like, okay, what kind of data do I need for this specific like article? So like, do I need any case studies, statistics, quotes, thought leadership insights, maybe some educational materials, like, I don't know, whatever. Like he makes decisions. He has a list of tools that he can use to retrieve specific data. And based on the outline and the brief, it can retrieve the things that it will need for AI writing. Based on all of that, and also like some information from your page, for example, because we can scrape information from your page, like case studies, methodologies, products related or anything, it can write the article based on that. But this is an initial draft. So what you as a human would do, like you would probably proofread it, make it better. We do the same thing with another agent that is a refine and evaluate and refine agent that basically goes into this brief, like this draft of the article and defines like, okay, these are the strong points that I really like. These are the weak points. These are the action points that we have to take into to make this better. These are the information that we need to still retrieve. So it executes, like it gets additional data and provides it to the next step, which is again, coming back to our workflow, rewriting the thing based on the instructions that we just created with an agent. And based on that, I can actually retrieve a lot of data and make corrections, improve it. Simplified, this is how the process looks like. But as I said, it's a combination of workflow with like some points where there is a human interaction and AI agent interaction, which makes decisions like instead of going up after statistics, like, I don't know, going to Perplexity saying like, give me statistics for this keyword, it actually defines like exactly what kind of data we need.
Yeah, I think that's a key difference there. I think we should definitely highlight like the decision making and the deciding to go into that specific sources of data, finding different case studies. Like you can go through so many manual hours of competitive analysis and SERP analysis and all that kind of stuff, right? And dig around and find, I found this research paper and this case study from this competitor and all that kind of stuff. And I think you often get like almost that analysis paralysis, right? That data paralysis where there's like too many things going on. You're like, oh, there's 15 competitors and 100 different articles and all this kind of stuff. And even just simplifying that process, as me with my ADHD brain trying to bounce around and do 100 things at once, like that can really kind of point you in the right direction, or at least give you a direction to think about, right? For me, that's often the way I think about it when it comes to the initial kind of spark of content creation. It's like, oh God, okay, we've got 100 different options. We could write 1,000 different articles. What topic do we want to talk about? What angle do we want to go with? All this kind of stuff. I think
And
that
just think about like
nudge
30
in the
to
right
40
direction.
tabs open, right? And like,
I, that is me. That is 100% me. I live with 30 to 40, 50, 100 tabs open at any given moment. All my little like grouped tabs in Chrome, just like all that kind of stuff. I'm very guilty of that. That's for sure.
yeah.
So yeah, I think I think that might be like the one a lot of people probably think of when it comes to that content creation side of things for AI agents. We mentioned auditing and stuff. I was talking to some link building people the other day and thinking about the link building side of things, almost like the tracking of trends and things like that. Have you used any of that sort of stuff for use AI agents for that kind of process? Thinking about even internal linking in a way, I guess that would definitely be relevant as well. The link building, internal linking, all that kind of stuff. Again, to me, that feels like something you can kind of get a workflow going in a way.
You can actually, like with internal linking, I have a different approach. Like I tried to use AI for internal linking and it didn't work out for me at all. Like what I do, I downloaded the data from Google Search Console, like so basically 50, 75,000, 100,000 keywords, like from Google Search Console, which you can, I think, see like in Google Search Console normally as a human, it's like probably 1,000 rows. So it's 50, 75, like times more. And then what I do, when I create an article, like I use this Google Search Console data just to analyze the content and find relevant topics for internal linking. Why? Because just the same, if you want to do it manually, there is a way, really simple. You go to Google, you type in site, your website, and you type a keyword, right? And then you have a list of all the pages on your website that are about this topic. So probably you should interlink these topics, like these pages, together somehow. I'm doing it the same way. Like, so basically I'm using Google as the point of truth, but from Google Search Console perspective. Like this is the same thing because I'm sorting the keywords by impressions, just so I know like what is which pages are ranked how. And this way I know which pages I can link together, but I don't have to query Google so many times for every single of 75,000 keywords every single time, like which makes no sense. That would be like hell of a job, but I can do it from the Google Search Console perspective. It's exactly the same thing that you can achieve as a human, like in basically in Google, but like with limited time. I tried to use AI for that, but the problem with AI, it's too creative. And I can't upload so much data to AI because the context window is like too much, like it's not that big. It's too small. And it starts to get like really, really slow. Like I can perform the same task with 1 second about using Python. I don't know how much time it would take like AI to do it, like with such a huge amount of data. And it would definitely go like very creative, like, and I wouldn't understand like what it did.
Yeah. I think you can definitely get into that. Like we said earlier, like the bad habit of just kind of, oh, we'll rely on this process and off it goes. And like you said, actually there are much better ways of doing it. And Search Console is so underutilized, I think, in general. We obviously think about just clicks and impressions or whatever, right? That's the super basic, straightforward stuff. But there is so many cool things. I love your way there of kind of thinking about the internal links and what queries are ranking for, sorted by impressions, is such a brilliant way of kind of simplifying it down and thinking like, yeah, what actually is on our site? What kind of phrases are we using that make sense to connect it all? And I know you talked about topical authority recently as well, like bringing and connecting those pages together makes so much sense. Again, we always talk about the clustering and topic clustering and building that topical authority for a section of your site, that makes so much sense. And I think a lot of people would never think to go to Search Console, be like, oh, when I'm thinking about internal linking, I'll go look at my Search Console data.
Actually, on Brighton SEO, like last year that we both were on, there were two talks that I really, really enjoyed. Marco about Google Search Console and data, like exporting the data to BigQuery. It was the second, it was a girl. I don't remember the name. But like Marco for sure, and like another person, and they had like hella like amazing talks about it, like how you can export the data into BigQuery and then use SQL, be a data scientist to actually pull the data from there. I listened to this like as a programmer, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, but I looked at the like all the audience, like, what do you understand from that? Because I don't think you understand anything what they're saying. And then I thought, like afterwards, I thought, like, okay, if we would have an AI agent that would let me to talk to my data in a natural language, like using basically BigQuery, why not? Like you could have an AI agent that would actually query BigQuery for you, then pull this data, interpret this data, even create machine learning predictions for the future. So like you can ask a question like, what is my topical authority? And then it will like think, okay, how can I actually get this data out of there? Because Google Search Console has this data. Like you can actually figure out what is your topical authority, like using Google Search Console. But if you're not a data scientist, wish you luck. Data is there, but like definitely what I see, wherever there is data, there will be an agent that will help you to pull the data from there. That you don't need a data scientist to actually use SQL, then use Python to manipulate the data, then like interpret the data, because you want to do it fast, and a normal human being like will be able to.
Yeah, definitely. A huge shout out to Marco. I had Marco on the show a couple of months ago talking about the power of BigQuery and how we're not using it enough. And I think you're almost like using that to query the data directly, like you said, using natural language is where we're seeing a lot of the shift in search, I think, as well, when it comes to LLMs and chat GPT search and perplexity and stuff like that. The way we are searching, especially if you're using like the voice version of it, the actually talking to the thing. I talk to an LLM in a completely different way than I would type. And I know you and I have been around for a while now, Tom. We know how to search in Google. You kind of know what to put into Google to find the thing, to adjust your language slightly in a particular way to find the thing you're looking for, right? And I think maybe we're in a bad habit of that. Maybe we've gotten too comfortable with the way we search in Google, and actually the natural language way of like, yeah, I'm kind of looking for a thing where it will automate this process. I would never type, yeah, I think I would like to in Google in a million years, right? You would very like narrow down your query. And I was talking to Irina Papak, I think it'll be the last week at the time of the release of this episode. And we talked about that process of, would that kind of dissolve a lot of the data we get, right? If you're getting data from these natural language queries rather than taking Search Console as an example, like the source of truth for what are people searching for and landing on your site, it's going to be all kinds of, you would not necessarily word the same question in the same way that I would, Tom. But when you're not able to, you mentioned earlier, like vectorizing and tokenizing queries, you then can't make those connections necessarily. You will see again, almost like the voice is the future of SEO thing we've been hearing for the last 10 years or whatever it is, right? How do you handle voice searches compared to typed out searches, and the evolution of like specific queries and how you would then group them together is a whole thing we're going to need to worry about in the future, I think.
Yeah. And the second person that was talking about it was Lazarina Stoy. Like, huge shout out to her. Like, she's amazing.
Love Lazarina. She's the best.
And like, but still, like, when I looked at it, it's like, how do you want these people to do that? Like, it's really difficult. I'll tell you about the talk that I had with my mom, like about 2 weeks ago, which was kind of funny. It's like, I'm a boomer. Like, already, as you said, like, we're not like Zets probably. My mom asked me a question like, do you think you will go through the same transition that we had to go through like she doesn't understand exactly how computers work. Like, so she asks me all the time, like how to do a wire transfer, how to do this, how to do that. And she asked me like, do you think actually in 20 years you will be in the same situation or even worse than I am? And I said to
Mm.
her, like, I don't think so. Like, you know why? Because you were in this unlucky space that we went to really a complicated way of using computers, because you had to be a programmer to understand how to query it. Like the whole mindset of a programmer is an if mindset. So like we're looking for edge cases. Like if this, then let's go this way. Like if that, go this way. Right now, what changes with LLMs is it's goal oriented, not if oriented. So we are not like I have to transition from a way of thinking, like thinking about all the edge cases that can happen, to thinking about like what is my goal and what I want, because AI will figure out how to solve it. And right now, what we see the transition is actually talking to computers using AI in a natural language. So we're going back to what we had 40 years ago when we talk to a human. We will actually talk to a computer. We don't have to figure out like what is Python, what is JavaScript. We will be able to talk to a computer in a natural way that we used to talk to other people for the last 50,000 years.
Yeah, I think it's almost like I love your way of thinking there, like the democratization of technology, basically, right? Like as technology grows and becomes more powerful, but also becomes cheaper and more accessible, you're totally right. Like I remember us getting our first computer in our house and me being like, okay, right, we have the internet for the first time. Like this is a weird scenario here. And speaking to, younger generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, like people growing up natively with the internet and
Yeah,
technology and video games and iPads and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going very big picture here, but to bring it around to search, like the way younger people search is far more natural to them because they didn't have a life before searching for stuff, right? They didn't have to go to a library to find a thing, or is that book available? Go and talk to the librarian at the desk and be like, so I'm looking for this specific reference book and this source of information. I can't find it. I don't understand the Dewey Decimal System. How does this work? Like the pre-years of the internet, like actually using physical books and encyclopedias and all that kind of stuff. And you speak to somebody who is, under 20, and like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have never read it. Why would I read an encyclopedia? All of Earth's knowledge is in the cloud right now, right? And I know I'm being
exactly.
facetious and silly here, but I think that is genuinely where we're going to see it makes search more accessible for people as it
It
becomes more
does. And
natural.
like when you're looking at Google Search Console data, also you will notice that the way the keywords are structured, they're starting to be different. They're more
Mm.
conversational. Like it's not only I don't know, Lenovo laptop X1 Carbon, like, or MacBook Pro something. It's like actually a conversational kind of keyword, like a little bit longer. You could actually see that in Google Search Console. I see the transition, like when I'm looking at the data there.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Me too. I think there's definitely been. I was having this conversation with my wife a little while ago, and I introduced her to using LLMs for stuff. And she was stuck on a level in a video game and was struggling to work out, like, okay, I think there's a glitch, like the mini map isn't working. I don't know where to go to finish this quest or whatever it was. And we were Googling, like, this quest glitch, how to fix this glitch, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, let me try something. And I used the GPT app on my phone and I was like, just ask it how you would ask me normally. And it worked. And I was like, well, there we go. That is an instance of, again, using that natural language and asking a question exactly as you were saying, talking to a computer like you're talking to a human, which seems counterintuitive, but is
Yeah.
almost like the I don't know, the Skynet of it all, the Matrix of it all. That's the robots take over, and we become indistinguishable from humans and robots, right? But I think that evolution of search, when it comes to the way we're actually putting queries into the systems, the data we're giving these systems that then we can see as SEOs through Search Console, you can definitely see that shifting in a way where, I know Mark, our SEO director here, talks a lot about those zero volume keywords, right? It's a big part of the tool our development team built. It also asked, looking at those people also ask sections, they're questions that people are asking and typing into Google that aren't necessarily having search volume, right? But
Yeah.
that's going to become more and more common as more and more people use natural language, and I think you're going to see the growth of that and the evolution of that and the shift of that. Like you said, if you're digging into the data in your search console, you can really see more people asking like, "What? But which one is better?" or "How does this thing work?" or whatever. Like those really like conversational kind of queries, rather
Yeah.
than, like you said, best Lenovo laptop 2025. Like, who searches like that anymore? It
Yeah, yeah.
feels
The
old
funny thing,
fashioned already.
yeah, the funny thing that I tried to do with like myself, like I tried to switch myself to voice search to actually start typing
Mm.
like all the things with voice. You know how hard it is, like not to use your keyboard. Like I'm used to using my keyboard. Like I want to type. I know that I'm doing it much slower with the keyboard than I can talk, but still, like it's so freaking hard to transition from one to the other.
See, this is where we're feeling very old, Tom. I'm afraid
Yeah, I know.
this is the moment where you and I feel very old.
Exactly.
And something I wanted to touch on you with as well is kind of the other side of AI agents. We were talking about browsing and searching and stuff like that. Google has kind of leaked and discussed a bits and pieces about Project Jarvis, which is their essential like browser agent, right? The theory behind a lot of that is that it will complete a lot of tasks for you, and as you browse, you essentially have a little AI assistant that will go through and help you do certain things. Do you think that is also part of the future of search? Do you think AI agents will be introduced into the, not as even necessarily into our process as SEOs, but to the external side of things, to the, for want of a better phrase, the users, the normies, the normal people, the
Yeah.
people that are just browsing every day? Will your mum and my parents suddenly be using AI agents in 10 years, whether they like it or not? As soon as they turn on their laptop or their phone, they're like, oh, you can't browse without a little assistant popping up. We'll have like the modern version of Clippy just popping up and trying to assist us.
To be honest, like I hope so. Like finally, I will not get these calls. Like, look, Tom, like you're a developer. Like my printer is not working. Uh, so like finally, I'll get rid of that. But to be honest, like I've read a little bit about this project. I think they're called right now, like they transitioned to Project Mariner or something like that. Either way, it will work on Gemini 2.0, and it will help you out to do most of the things. So, for example, uh, like I'm a chaos person. I hate like structuring my day, like, and I hate doing certain stuff. Like I have a list of tasks that I didn't do. One of them, for example, I'm going to a conference in Valencia, like, and somebody is pinging me for the last week to buy the tickets, plane tickets. I should have done it 5 times by now. Like, sorry, I didn't. But if I had such an agent that would like, I'll let know, like, buy me these tickets, like just go through the process. It will take me 15 to 20 minutes, but I just don't have time for that. That's useful. Like, so all the tasks that you're doing, wire transfers, like, of course, like I don't want to give access to my bank to an unspecified AI agent, but like at some point I will. It's just like based on trust. But definitely all the tasks that are looking for something. If I want specific shoes, like I'm looking for a new ski suit for my wife, like, and I spent a lot of time on that. Probably an AI agent would let me and help me out. But here is the problem that I see with search. Like, I don't know, I don't have an answer. I don't know what Google should do with their business model for
Mm.
the AI agent to work, because AI agent only works if it delivers you the best possible solution, right? This is like where we trust it and it will give me. So where the ads go, like if I ask for like finding me blue shoes, sport shoes for running, let's say, if it will give me an ad that is just like amplified by bidding, uh, should I trust it or not? Like, because I wouldn't, to be honest. So I want to trust it if it will give me the best possible answer. And the ad not always is the answer, I would say. So I
Yeah,
want to
I think.
choose. Maybe they will give like both.
Yeah. I think the monetization side of things is so interesting because that is Google's goal at the end of the day, right? Like we always say, really ads is where they make all of their money. I think it was 260 something $billion last year, like astronomical amounts of money. And it's through ad revenue, it's through Google ads and YouTube ads and on display ads and all this kind of stuff, where we think about our little slice that is SEO, and we don't make any money for Google. They don't care about us doing organic stuff. They care about the money they're making from ads. So you're totally right. If browsing is automated and you never even need to visit a SERP anymore, what happens to
Hmm.
Google Ads? Where does the monetization come in? I know there was something, credit to Arnout Hellmans. I was talking to Arnout the other day, and he was saying you can see like a dystopian future of search where you have the GPT side of things, the chat GPT search or the perplexities or whatever, and the way of monetizing that, either you pay for a certain amount of searches. I know I was
Hmm.
recently introduced to Kagi or Kagi, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, which is
Hmm.
a paid search, and you get like 100 for the searches per month. For the free, you can upgrade to like 500 searches a month and all that kind of stuff. But Arnout came up with a thing of like, maybe they'll use the Netflix model where there's an ad version that is the cheap version, but you can pay more to reduce ads, or it will flash up an ad every 10 searches you do, or something like that. But that still doesn't answer the problem of AI agents and browser agents doing the browsing for you, especially
Yeah.
like we're saying with the multimodality of things like Mariner and Jarvis and things like that. It's going to be going in different places, pulling from different sources. How
Maybe
does Google
humans will be
monetize that?
just like happy with paying for performing tasks on top of search. I don't know. Maybe this is where people will want to pay. At the moment, like the perplexity model, I don't think it's a good business model. Like when you're looking at the whole society, maybe for 1% of like the market, like I'm paying for that, but that's not a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's professional SEOs and AI enthusiasts and programmers and stuff, right? But that is a very, very small fraction of the overall user base of the
Yeah.
internet, right? It's billions of people.
Hmm.
I guess we'll kind of wrap things up with, give me a prediction for, like you said, your mum was saying, oh, 10 years, 20 years from now, do you think you'll be completely out of that? Where are we going to be 5 years from now? Let's bring it a little bit closer. Do you think we'll be having browser agents? Do you think we'll be having entirely voice based searches? Is SEO finally dead, Tom? That's the real question, obviously.
Like, so if I predict like where I will be, I don't know how about you, but I'll be retired like in 5 years. Like, but no, just kidding. But I don't know, like really not, no, I don't think SEO is dead because Google needs this data like to be better. Like, so if they block it somehow, if they cut down like the traffic from SEO, like then there will be a big lawsuit from big companies to Google that they're
Which will
taking their
be,
data.
yeah.
Like it already, like we see that. So I don't think it's SEO is dead. I actually like this year I see a lot of additional traffic that I can get because Google is so good with what they're doing with removing spam from the internet. Human written spam, AI written spam, doesn't matter. They're removing a lot. So you can actually gain more traffic if you are able to create valuable content, which is not that easy to create, just so you know. But like, where's it going? Definitely more AI overviews. But at the same time, people want to read a little bit more. Like in Google, Google is just physically not enough space there to put in a whole pizza recipe. So they can give you a small snippet about it, but they still have to push you like to longer text that will tell you more about it. I think like it's all about valuable content. So like what Google said 25 years ago, that they want to bring the best value to the end user. They actually are a good referee. Finally, they became really good with validating what's good, what's bad, and this is what you have to focus on. There's like no gray hat SEO anymore, in my opinion. You just have to obey the rules, like that they are there, and create EAT.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, you're going to get caught out eventually doing a lot of black hat and grey hat stuff. So I think we're being more and more restrained, and playing the rules is where you got to be. To finish us off, Tom, give me some recommendations. Give me a tool or a piece of software you want to recommend. Not SEO Wind. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't worry. I'll let you talk about SEO Wind in a minute. And give me a video, a blog, a podcast, whatever it is that you'd recommend. Doesn't even have to be AI related or SEO related, but a tool and a resource,
So,
basically.
like with the tool, I would go with either make.com or hunch.tools, like to create an AI workflow that will help you out to basically simplify and automate the process that you already have as a human. And I think it's worth to try it. Remember, you will make a lot of mistakes on the way. Like, don't worry. Like, everybody does that. Like, I have probably 100, 200 versions of certain prompt until like, and finally I got the one that I wanted. So this is definitely the tools. Like when it comes to the podcasts, I was thinking about it. I would say the big thing right now is ranking in SERP results in LLMs. This is the big topic. I would point you to Crystal Carter from Wix.com
Mm.
and listen what she says about it. Like she's really, really good. If you can invite her, like if you didn't talk to her yet,
Oh yeah,
that's
but
really
I know
worth to
Crystal
talk
very well.
about.
Yeah, we
So
had
I would
Crystal
point to
on.
her.
She was the guest on episode 100 that I did, my 100th episode. I had Crystal on. Yeah, definitely want to collaborate more with Crystal. Spot on.
She's
Good
amazing.
recommendation. I'll put links for all those things in the show notes. And finally, Tom, if people want to follow you, they want to follow SEO Wind, where are the best places to find you, learn more about SEO Wind and all the awesome work you're doing over there?
So if you want to like find me, like definitely the place to look for me is LinkedIn. It's my second home. I live there. And like if you want to talk about SEO and what we do, or actually what you do, I really like to also talk to people just to listen what they do and what kind of problems they have. If you can DM me on LinkedIn, I'm like always happy to talk to people.
Awesome. Well, folks, please do go and follow Tom, follow SEO Wind, go and check it out. I'll put links for everything we recommended from make.com to Crystal Carter and everything in between in the show notes down below. Thank you so much for joining me, Tom. It's been a pleasure to finally have a conversation with you, and hopefully we'll catch up again in a future podcast or a future conference, or maybe both.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. It was amazing. Like, and really, keep on going with the podcast. Like, it's really, really good.
And that wraps up this week's episode. Thank you once again to Tom for joining me this week. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. Tom is somebody, like I said, who I'd followed for quite a while, and we'd been in touch for a little while, and we finally got to sat down and have a conversation, which I love this podcast for that kind of thing. It's a lot of people I admire or follow on LinkedIn or I've seen in webinars and things like that, and I finally get to sit down, interview them, pick their brains, and get an idea of all the cool things they're doing in SEO, basically. I've got some amazing guests coming up over the next few weeks as well. Don't you worry, I've got another episode with Mark Williams-Cook coming up soon. I've also got episodes with a couple of members from the Candour team as well. Hopefully in the next month or so, I'll have 2 more episodes with more members of the Candour team, including our Director of Strategy, Jessica, and our Head of Search, Tabby, as well. And a little crossover with my favourite marketing podcast, Marketing O'Clock. Greg Finn himself will be joining me here on Search with Candour in a few weeks to talk all about PPC, its relationship with SEO, why we need to stop separating the two of them, and how basically we can learn a lot from PPC people and what we can do to plan for the future, and where Greg thinks this whole digital marketing industry and search marketing in general is going. Absolutely love Greg, adore what the guys at Cypress North and the team who make Marketing O'Clock possible. And yeah, stay tuned for some awesome episodes coming up over the next month or so. In the meantime, like I said at the very beginning of the episode, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below. Give us a rating on Spotify. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts and all those good things. And have a lovely week until I see you next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and see you then.